Hey guys, what is going on? Alex here and I'm back for another video. So this is going to be a ban list prediction for the 2018 April ban list, which should come around the corner, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I don't know what they're going to hit because Konami can be a bit cheeky here and there. So I think like let's see what they're going to do. So this is just my prediction. What I want to talk about first is like hand traps and stuff, and I always hate hand traps and I always will hate them, but I don't think right now they should be hit, and the reason for that is because we're not in a stable state in the game where going second is good now. Like, still going first means you win. And until like Konami find a way to allow going second to have like an equal chance of being fair, I don't think that it's it should they should be hit. I think like just leave them for the time being, and then yeah, or they could just give the OCG treatment and just semi-limit Ash Blossom or something like that. I don't really know, but yeah, TCG are a bit special like that. Evenly Matched is the next card I want to talk about. I mean, again, people say it's so broken and all that sort of stuff, but again, it's like going second is you kind of need a card like Evenly Matched. I mean, I think the card is very poorly created, but still, we need a card that it helps going second, similar to what I was saying. And I think Evenly Matched is should just stay for a bit. We should see what the true effects of it is, and until then, let's just leave it alone. So firstly, I want to go into FTK decks, and this has been going around. Of course, this meta has been pretty diverse, which is cool, but FTK decks again ridiculous, and I think Lyrilisk, it's time to go. Konami do not like FTKs. I can't stand FTKs. I don't think they're fair. So I think Lyrilisk should really be banned because it's caused a lot of problems, like the problems with Tyrant Neptune being banned because it can turn into like a 5k beta that's practically invincible, and and same with like the Supreme King FTK, and people saying, oh, hit Supreme King. No, you don't hit Supreme King, because Supreme King is just so good for for Pendulum, and I think that by hitting Lyrilisk, no one's going to miss it because the card shouldn't exist in the first place. It's causing so many issues. It's caused issues for ages, and I think it's just get rid of Lyrilisk, no more FTKs. Gem Knight Lapis Lazuli or Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli is next card I want to mention. And again, Gem Knight FTK has been a thing, and I think if Konami want to hit Gem Knight FTK, it's not really like as broken as Lyrilisk. But I think what you can do with Lady Lapis Lazuli is just put it to 1. Either put it to 1 or 2, whatever. Even 2, because it stops the FTK. Because the end of the turn, like, your opponent's just going to end up with a shitty, Gem Knight monster that's just going to be dead. So, you're not really doing anything. It's a 2700, I think it's 2700 Gem Knight Fusion monster. And it's not really going to do anything if that's the case. And I think Gem Knight Lady Lazuli should really just be put to 1 or 2 just to stop the FTK and stop all this shit that's going on. But that's just it, really. There's not really much to talk about with it. Pendulum's next, and Pendulum is, in my opinion, probably the best deck out of this and True Draco. But I think Astrograph Sorcerer, you need to get rid of it because there are too many degenerate plays that you can make with Astrograph, and it's just too stupid. It's like, oh, okay, activate activate fucking Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. Okay, pop a card. Activate Astrograph, search. Come on, searching a card that you've just used to pay cost of, that's just ridiculous. I think Astrograph going to 0 is actually fair. People say limit it, but if you limit it, it's not going to do anything. It's still searchable off like Wavering Eyes and everything. And Wavering Eyes is at 3, and still is pretty damn strong, but again, it's kind of keeping the deck somewhat alive. But yeah, I think Astrograph going to 0 just really just removes this whole thing of destroy, search the same card that you've just used for cost. And don't forget, Pendulums like to be destroyed, and a lot of them just don't have once per turn effects, so this just hits it nicely. Next card again is Heavy Metal Foes Electromite is a controversial card, and people say, oh, it should be banned, it should be limited, but really the card just came out. Like, it came out only like a few months ago. Don't hit it. It's not going to do anything. Like, the card came out. It's doing good work, and it's actually brought back Melfos, and like I liked Melfos. I thought they were a pretty cool archetype, and I think going to one is absolutely pointless. So I think just like heavy Melfos Electromite going to one is actually not a thing needed. I think for the time being it can just stay at 3. Supreme King Dragon Darkworm is actually the card that I think should go to 1. It's like basically another version of Skullcrobat Joker, and Joker's now banned. And I don't think Darkworm's ban worthy, but I think it's limit worthy because it just stops, by limiting it, it stops these two consistent variants of Pendulum Magician, and it's too consistent. And that's the whole thing with Pendulum Magician that makes it so damn good, is how consistent it is. And I think by hitting the consistency, you just hit the deck nicely. True Draco is next on the agenda, and I think True Draco is arguably the best deck in the format, after maybe Pendulum or before Pendulum, something like that. But I think it's really easy to hit Draco, and it's time to say goodbye to Masterpiece, the True Draco Slaying King. This card is bullshit. And to literally, you summon out a flipping True Draco card that is practically invincible, banishes any flipping continuous spell or trap, it's going to be generic, and then, like, what? And just pop a card on the field. Like, firstly, to create an invincible monster is bullshit alone, but you doing that as well is just ridiculous. And I think Masterpiece should be banned because the deck's been around for too long, and it's just making the game so fucking boring. It's ridiculous because, like, the whole thing with True Draco is just the fact that they can ignore everything. It's like, oh, what's that? Beforehand, before Maxi was banned, it's like, I activate Maxi. Oh, wait, this deck normal summons. I don't need to use the extra deck, so Scythe is pointless. There wasn't really much apart from like Mask of Restrict, and the only way you can get rid of a Masterpiece that is invincible is with a Kaiju, and that's just ridiculous. Like, there's no counterplay, because running it over will be pointless if it's summoned with a via monster, because it's unaffected by shit. So it's like, well, yeah. And like, what the whole thing with True Draco is the fact that you're able to use these generic generic spell and trap cards that are continuous. Like, you can use Skill Drain because Masterpiece is going to be unaffected. You can main deck stuff like anti-spell, and if you want to get rid of the anti-spell, make Masterpiece. It's just stupid, and I think now it's time for Masterpiece to go to 0 because it's been around for too long. Diagram's kind of a similar thing, really. I mean, I don't know if Diagram's gonna be given the the Zodiac treatment, which is let's not take risks, let's ban both of them, which was Broadball and Dryden, and by both of them I mean Masterpiece and Draconic Diagram. Or it could be put to 1 just so it can, somewhat be used in stuff like Six Sams and Dinos and maybe Cosmo and stuff like that. But I think maybe if they want to ban it, they want to ban it. I won't really be too fussed if they do. Trickstars are next on the agenda. I think it's very obvious what needs to be hit, and that is Trickster Reincarnation. This card is ridiculous, and it's just causing too many issues. It's just like, okay, draw and Lockbird, Trickster Reincarnation, no hand for you, and your whole hand's banished. It's like, what? And the fact that it banishes the hand is just ridiculous, and it's somewhat generic because it doesn't even state you have to have a Trickstar on your side of the field, and it's not even a once per turn effect, which is ridiculous. So it's like, imagine having 3 Trickstar Reincarnations. Trickstar Reincarnation, draw 5. Okay, activate Trickstar Reincarnation again, draw 5. Okay, after drawing 5, draw on Lockbird, Trickstar Reincarnation, banish. Okay, wait, my whole hand is gone, and they're all fucking banished. Like, no Trickstar Reincarnation. I think it should go to 1 because that way the card is still usable, but it's not going to be like over the top. It's like you just leave it there at 1, and it's just fine. It's just fine at 1. 60 card decks are not forgotten, in my opinion. They maybe thought that they could escape, but no, they cannot escape. I think that 60 card decks is so obvious what needs to be hit, and that's Fairy Tale Snow. This is getting ridiculous now. 60 card decks have always had like good banish effects. Like you've got Giant Rex that when it gets banished, it special summons itself. If you had zombies and in there, you know, zombies want to be banished, and Snow just does it for them. It's a generic banisher card, and I mean, I know you have to banish 7, but it's not a once per turn effect, and the summon effect is just ridiculous. It's like put your opponent's monster face down, and then like, oh well, okay, can't flip it face up again, and it just, the card is just too good for the deck, and I think it should be limited or even potentially banned because it's just ridiculous in the deck. Even just one of them just does too much, and people are playing 3 copies of Snow in their deck, and it's just like me thinking like, what on earth is going on in this game? Like, because it's just like you think you can win the game, but the moment you see Snow in their graveyard, you know that you're going to be struggling for a long, long time. Which is why I think Snow should be hit on this list. People are complaining about Brilliant Fusion and Seraphonite, no surprise, but I think hitting Brilliant Fusion or Seraphonite is pointless. You hit Seraphonite, yeah, I guess 2 normal summons is ridiculous, but still, if someone just activates Brilliant Fusion and just summons Seraphonite on their own, it's like, well, that's just your extra deck zone used, and like, unless you have ways of just getting rid of it or using Seraphonite for something else, is a bit hard to do. And I think what they should really hit is not Brilliant Fusion, because if they limit Brilliant Fusion, it's still searchable. So you hit the card that searches it, which is Predator Plant, Darlingtonia Cobra. I think this card should be banned, and the reason why I say that is because no monster should be able to search any fusion monster with such ease. All you have to do is use Orpha Scorpio and then summon this card, and it adds a polymerization or any fusion spell card. Like, that's just stupid. I mean, like, people say, oh, hit Orpha Scorpio, but if you hit Orpha Scorpio, then you hit Predator Plants directly, and Predator Plants kind of need Scorpio because that's like their main search card that special summons, and that's what Predator Plants do. And like, Predator Plants aren't even like as much as a used deck, but it's a good budget deck for people who haven't got a lot of money to spend. So, you know, I think Darlingtonia Cobra going to 0 is actually a fair thing to do because it just stops all this stupid, degenerate, generic Mrs. Radiant plays and getting a free, practically like a free Link monster out and then being able to search Brilliant Fusion. Nah, that's ridiculous. I think Darlingtonia Cobra should be banned. Let's go into some other cards that are in currently sort of like under the agenda. First card invokes Macabre, and I think they might give what they did to the OC, like what they did with the OCG, and limit Macabre. I think I'm a bit bored of seeing the invoked engine in fucking every single like non sort of like roguey kind of decks. Like Mech Knights are topping with invokes Macabre, and I'm okay with this card like topping, but I think that if it went to 1, it would be fair because it kind of just makes people kind of just not splash this card in so many decks, and it's starting to get a bit boring like that. I think Macabre 1 is a fair thing. Baguska is a card that I absolutely hate playing against, but reason why I'm saying it could be hit or should be hit, and by hit I mean going to 0, is because the card, I don't like the fact that the card is generic and it stalls the game out. It's like, oh shit, my opponent's got like some big board and, oh, what should I do? Oh, let's summon Baguska and stall the game out for 2 turns until they can get rid of me. And the whole thing with Baguska is just the fact that if you want to tag it out, you can just go into like a link 1 or just link it out altogether, and that's just not right. And the fact that you can make like an unbreakable link board and just have Baguska out on the field, knowing that you can't put link monsters in defense position, is just silly. So I think Baguska should or could go to 0 because stalling the game out is stupid. Galaxy Tomahawk is a level 7 that's now creating tons and tons of tokens, and I know tokens aren't loved, and I think that if they want to hit Tomahawk, I wouldn't be surprised because that way it just removes the token generation. Same thing with Scapegoat. I mean, I don't really want to just go into like tons and tons of things about Scapegoat, but I think Scapegoat going to 1, like the OCG, just removes the genericness. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit the thumbs up.